All right, what's up, YouTube land? It's been a little bit. I wanted to make a video today because my favorite band, U2, dropped unannounced EP the other day, about a week ago actually, on Ash Wednesday. It was called Days of Ash, and that's the first new music I've heard from them, obviously, since they last released in 2018, Songs of Experience. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a little ranking of all of my favorite U2 albums. So I'm gonna do like a least favorite to favorite here. You know, Days of Ash is gonna take a lot of listens. I've been listening to it a lot. I have some thoughts. So I'll just go over each one, each album here, and rank them 1 to 15. And sorry for my voice, just getting over a little bit of a cold here. But okay, let's get started with the ranking then. In last place is going to be Songs of Experience. I don't like this album. I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge U2 fan, but they're capable of putting out, mediocre songs just like any other band could. I just think it's really uninteresting to listen to. I saw them on the tour. That was the most disappointing tour I've seen from them, which is still a great show. I'm not knocking the show. But this is an album that is really incredibly overly produced. It has a kind of a weird tonal pacing to it. Some of the songs are really serious. Some of the songs are really, ethereal. Some of them are really like jokey almost. Like The Showman is maybe the worst U2 song I could probably think of is The Showman. And it's like a jarring listening experience. I can say a few good things about it. When I first heard this album, I listened to Love is Bigger Than Anything in Its Way, and I was like, okay, that's going to be a banger live. And of course it was. It's a really good song. I also really like Landlady. That is a terrific song that wasn't a single, doesn't get talked about in the U2 canon at all, but I think it's excellent. Otherwise, yeah, pass. Not a fan of this album. Number 14 is going to be October. This is their second album. The reason I put it second last is because, all of these albums are terrific in their way, but I have to rank them. So, and invariably a good album is going to rank really low. October is a really good album. I really do like it. It just has that sort of Growing Pains kind of vibe to it, and I don't really know what else to say. It's like not as good as Boy. Certainly not as good as War. It's like this in-between development stage of this band that has some really excellent melodies. Gloria is great. I really like I Threw a Brick Through a Window. And I got to hear Scarlet live on their 360 tour, which is something I honestly never would have thought would happen. It's just a really beautiful melody on that one. Rejoice is really a favorite. I really like this album a lot. It's just again, it's a developmental kind of stepping stone album for them. And when you compare it to the rest of their body of work, like it just doesn't hold up or doesn't stand up to it. But that being said, I like it. I don't listen to it very often. It's not on my listening rotation too much. But yeah, I'm going to put October in number 14. Okay, so the next one on my list is going to be Rattle and Hum. Rattle and Hum, anything that follows up the Joshua Tree is going to have a tough go. And this is a strange choice to follow up that album with because it's a mixture of original songs and cover songs. There's really not a lot new being offered here, but the stuff that is new is really good. I don't really care for their version of Helter Skelter. Desire is, I think, a very, frankly, boring U2 song. I know they really love playing it live, and it's a kind of a fan favorite. I don't dislike it. I don't need to hear it on every tour, but there's some tracks in here that are absolute gems. So Angel of Harlem is of course a gem, but of course Hawkmoon 269 and Heartland. These are my two favorite songs off the album. They don't ever get talked about in U2 canon, like ever. I think they both stand up to anything on the Joshua Tree. I really feel that way. They're two amazingly great songs. But and of course, All I Want Is You is just a classic. But in the grand scheme of their discography, this album it's uneven. It doesn't really have an identity, and I think for that reason, it comes in at number 13. Coming in at number 12 is number 12. That is going to be How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. This is like U2's kind of, big rock show era. There's some absolute bangers on this record. Vertigo played live is just, it's such a rush. Hearing that song live is still really good to this day. And I saw them play it on tour at the Sphere a couple of years ago, and this song slays. It absolutely slays. The problem with this album is that it's how do I say this? There's a few good songs, and like the whole doesn't add up to the sum of its parts. So like there's a few good songs that I really like. So Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own is really good, if a little bit over the top, but it's a great song. I always really liked Crumbs from Your Table and Original of the Species, which were played on that tour, but not on subsequent tours for probably obvious reasons. I'm not a big fan of Miracle Drug, Love and Peace. City of Blinding Lights is a great one. That's a great live tune. So there is a couple off this album. Yeah, so there's a couple off this album that I think are great. City of Blinding Lights, Vertigo, Crumbs from Your Table, Original of the Species. I really like those. But as a whole, the listening experience it's just kind of bland somehow. There's not a lot of edge to this record. It's not very adventurous. With a lot of U2 albums that are kind of like mid, the second half of these albums like really just kind of take a nosedive after City of Blinding Lights. Like you get All Because of You and A Man and a Woman. I mean, like, I don't think so. I think that this album produced some really good songs, but the overall, the whole is a little bit mediocre. Is a little bit mediocre for me. The next on my list is going to be Songs of Innocence, the infamous Apple forced upload album. I don't understand why people got so mad about that. I was just like, just delete it if you don't want it there. I agree. You shouldn't force an album onto people's phones. I think that's a bit much. I wouldn't have done that. I don't think it was a good thing to do. But at the same time, like, people were really freaking out. Like, it was just like this invasion of privacy thing. And I'm like, it's just an album. Like, just take it easy. Anyway, I really like this album. It's, I think the problem with this like era of U2 for me, they really just, I wouldn't have picked the same singles as they did. The Miracle of Joey Ramone, I just don't think is a very good song. I just don't think it is. But I think there's a lot of really good bangers on this album, actually. California, There's No End to Love, like, get rid of that. Volcano, get rid of that. Raised by Wolves is pretty good. This is an interesting album because actually I think the second half of this album is a little bit better than the first half of this album. The Troubles, very underrated. This Is Where You Can Reach Me Now is a cool track. Sleep Like a Baby Tonight, it feels like it could have been on Achtung Baby. Cedarwood Road is awesome. I really like that one a lot. Again, just this era of production, they have a lot of different producers on different songs, So one song we produced by these three guys, and then the next song will be produced by these two, or this other two, or this three, and then it just kind of like goes back and forth that way, and it just causes a little bit of, a little bit of blandness somehow. The songs all sound the same to me. I don't really like how the vocals are mixed here at all. I find them to be too loud and a little bit too in your face. So I have some problems with the production, and despite that, I think there are some great songs here. Iris is a really good one. Every Breaking Wave is a good one. So there's a lot to like here, I think. But overall, yeah, this is going to come in at number 11 for me. Number 10 is going to be their debut, Boy. I absolutely love Boy. I think it's terrific, which, even as I'm talking about it right now, I'm thinking like, why isn't this higher on the list? But the fact is their catalog is just is just so strong, you know. It's so strong. So I don't know. I learned how to play a lot of guitar off this record. A lot of their riffs, I took a lot of influence from a lot of the riffs on this album. So like Twilight, Out of Control, and Cat Dub, Stories for Boys, Another Time, Another Place. Like that's maybe my favorite song on this album actually, is Another Time, Another Place, which I don't think they've played live since that tour. I don't remember if they did play live on that tour. I was really happy they brought back a couple of these tracks for the Vertigo tour, and Cat Dub and The Ocean. You know, even A Day Without Me is a really good tune. Electrico, I saw them perform that one on the Innocence and Experience tour, I believe, which was terrific. I love Electrico. I think this song, I mean, for a first album at 18 years old, releasing these songs is pretty friggin' incredible. Even the fact that they're kind of, I mean, they are very much unpolished and very raw. There's like a very obvious cohesion and songwriting skill and excellent melodies going on here. Just that raw kind of post-punk attitude, and it's more heady than your typical punk band. I really love Boy. I think it's a terrific record. Highly recommend Boy. Number 9. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit controversial probably, because I'm a U2 fanatic. This is a really popular album. And this will probably, you know, make your head scratch a little bit. But for number 9, I went with All That You Can't Leave Behind. Now, the reason I have it here so low, and I kind of alluded to this with the How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb album. This is an album that is so good, but you have a steep drop off, in my opinion, in the second half of this album that kind of, I think it ruins it actually. You have like these 5 absolute bangers, okay? Beautiful Day is an all-time U2 song. Stuck in a Moment is a great U2 song. Elevation is a really fun, terrific live tune. I don't need to hear it every time live, but I'm not mad that it's in the set list. Walk On is great. It's a little bit overdone, but I like the song. Kite is superb. I love Kite. I mean, those first 5 songs, like that could stand up to Joshua Tree, really, you know? But then for me, this album just takes an absolute nosedive after that. In a Little While is not interesting to me. Wild Honey is not interesting to me. It's a fun song. None of these are bad songs. Peace on Earth, I don't think so. When I Look at the World has some interesting guitar riffs going on. I do like that one. New York, nothing there for me. Grace, I mean, it's a good song. I like it. It's weird because this album kind of like got really pumped up in the media as their like third masterpiece. I just don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. I think they're better. I mean, this is why I've ranked it where I've ranked it, because I just enjoy other albums a lot more than this one. The production's really good. I mean, it's kind of back to their basics, back to their sound. They have Daniel Lanois, Brian Eno, and Steve Lillywhite all produced Beautiful Day, which is, you know, those are the guys that have produced U2's best work. Beautiful Day is one of U2's best songs. I'm not going to deny that. It absolutely is a terrific song. Yeah, just as a whole, the album, it just doesn't really quite make it. It just doesn't quite make it all the way for me, you know? But that being said, you know, the Elevation tour is my favorite tour of all time. I saw my favorite show of all time on that tour. Have memories from there that I'll never, ever forget for the rest of my life surrounding that album and tour. So, you know, I have a lot of nostalgia for it. The other thing, too, is there was another title on this, on the international edition of this album, which I guess is a B-side, I don't know. And if you've never listened to this song, please go listen to it. It's called The Ground Beneath Her Feet. It's easily one of, if not the most underrated U2 songs I've ever heard. It could have easily been on this main release. I have no idea why it wasn't. I think it stands up to any song on this record. It's a terrific song. One of the Edge's best guitar solos, in my opinion, is on that song, The Ground Beneath Her Feet. But, you know, overall, it's a great album. You know, just because I'm ranking it low doesn't mean I don't like it, but I have to rank it somewhere, and I have some strong thoughts about that one. So All That You Can't Leave Behind comes in at number 9. All right, coming in at number 8 is going to be the brand newly released EP called Days of Ash. This is a difficult one to rank. I mean, I was trying to think about where this goes. It's basically impossible to figure that out within a week of a release, even though I've been listening to it a lot. I think for me, this one And this could change later on as time goes by, but for me, this one, like, just like the best U2 music just kind of hits you right in your heart. And this one is no different. I think this one just is designed to just evoke something out of you, or a reaction out of you. Just obviously with the subject matter, these songs can, are very pointed to some very controversial events, bring awareness to things that, I wasn't aware of everything that was being kind of discussed in these songs. I think it's a terrific record. I don't mind that it's an EP. I would have preferred a full album. I know they said they're going to come out with another full album later this year, which I think makes this being an EP like okay. But an EP is just like a quick, like, lightning in the bottle. It's about a very specific set of ideas that makes sense as an album. An EP is just as valid as any full album if it's a cohesive telling of a certain story. My personal favorite on this one, I thought was One Life at a Time. I just love the guitar solo in this song. It's terrific. As I listen to it, though, I think Tears of Things is maybe the best song on there for me. It's just lyrically Bono's best work I've heard in years. I haven't heard... I was thinking about this one, man, how does this stand up to the rest of their catalog? I don't think I've heard anything this good since All That You Can't Leave Behind. And I think that's why they're ranked very, very close together. There's just a poeticness about the way that this album is put together. It's very present. It's very relevant. There's just some great melodies. And it was really nice to hear... I don't know what it was, but Larry Mullen's drumming on this album is terrific. It's really, really good, and it's really energetic, and he really, man, if you take any one of these guys out of this band, it's just no longer that band, and Larry's no exception. His drumming on here, especially on Tears of Things, is really so great. I really like this release a lot. This could even move up in the future, potentially. But right now, I've got Days of Ash at number 8. Number 7 is going to be the 1997 release, Pop. Pop is such a difficult album to place. It's so out there, and it's so adventurous. It's also very nostalgic for me. It was the first, the Pop Mart tour is the first U2 show I ever saw, and actually the first concert I ever saw was Pop Mart in 1997, which was just a bombastic, crazy, huge circus of a show. I've never seen anything like that. So much fun, I still remember that show pretty vividly, actually. But even just the album, I thought, it's got so much potential. It feels unfinished because it is unfinished, and the band have been on record saying that. I know that. But I really like the songs. I think Discotheque has a terrific guitar riff. Do You Feel Loved has an awesome guitar. Mofo is the weirdest song. That's like the most different U2 song you'll ever hear is Mofo. And they actually opened their shows with this song live for the whole tour. And I think, the consistency on this album is pretty good. Last Night on Earth is a banger. Gone is one of the most underrated U2 songs I think there is. And then you have Please, which is essentially a sequel to Sunday Bloody Sunday, a song that they could easily keep in their set list and it would do really well. I get why they're not doing it. Staring at the Sun is okay. It's a good song. I like it. Wake Up Dead Man is great. I don't know. This is one of those albums that's just like you either really don't like it or you do. Like if you're probably like a little older than me, a U2 fan, then you probably don't like Pop because it's too weird. It's too out there. It's too adventurous. It's too risky. I love it when bands do stuff like this because, I don't know, I feel like U2 wouldn't be as successful if they just tried to recreate the Joshua Tree on every album. Like, that's what most bands would do, but not them. They reinvented themselves. And the 90s, especially for them, was a very adventurous decade. And I think this album is really fun. It's got a lot of soul to it. I really do think it has a lot of soul to it. There's some clunkers here, though. Miami, I didn't need that on the album. God Will Send His Angels. I don't think it's a bad song, but song number 4, I think that's pretty generous for that track. And by the way, I think you should front load your albums with your best songs. That's how I work as an artist. You just put your best songs, you just front load it. Maybe the album gets a little worse as you go, but that's just how I would do things. Pop comes in at number 7. We are talking about number 6. No Line on the Horizon. This came out in 2009. For most U2 fans, you have this album over All That You Can't Leave Behind. Yeah, I love this record. I think it's terrific. It's in that, I don't want to insult them, but it's in that kind of like bland U2 era, I guess. But I think it's quite elevated. I think it's significantly better than How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, and it's better than the two albums that came after it. The reason I think that is because I just think it's really solid. I just think it's really solid. Again, they made some mistakes here. They chose to release the worst song on this album as the single, which is "Get On Your Boots." I think that's just such a mistake, and I was so worried. I was like, oh no, this album's gonna suck after that. And then I listened to the album, and it's totally different than that song. It's very, very different than that song. It's so much better. It has a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of interesting things happening guitar-wise and drum-wise, and it also flows really nicely. No Line on the Horizon is a really, really good opening track. Magnificent's kind of like a kind of quintessential sort of U2 beat, reminded me a little bit of Pride, the way the drums go on that one. They ended their 360 tour supporting this album with the song Moment of Surrender, which is like just an absolutely epic U2 song that gets no love really at all. I don't know why. Unknown Caller and I'll Go Crazy are not songs that I really like too much. Stand Up Comedy is a total dud. But the rest of this album, okay, tracks 8 through 11, Fez Being Born, White as Snow, Breathe, and Cedars of Lebanon, I think are some of the band's best work. I love it. I just don't understand. It's got that kind of syndrome of not really being super cohesive. It's almost like a movie where the pacing is off, where there's tonal shifts. It kind of brings you in and out. It's not consistent all the way through. I think with a few tweaks, this album could have been quite a bit more elevated. Again, Get On Your Boots was a horrible choice for a single, and frankly, wasn't very good live either. I just don't know what they were thinking with that one. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one. It's a really good album. I think there's a lot of nostalgia there too for me. Obviously, when you listen to music, it brings you back to a certain place in time and in life. This one brings me back to a really happy time in life. And every time I listen to it, I think about it. I saw them twice on this tour. I had a really, really great time at both shows. I don't think they really keep any songs from this album at all live anymore, which is not surprising. They're not, as much as they're really great at playing some deep cuts, you can only take so many songs with you. I mean, for me, I would love to hear Magnificent. Fez Being Born, when I first heard that, I was like, this is kind of like Unforgettable Fire vibes here. That's the U2 I really love, but sadly, I don't think they ever played that one live. No Line on the Horizon comes in at number 6. 5, a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but Zeropa comes in at number 5 for me. It's there's a lot of nostalgia at play when I'm doing these rankings, but Zeropa is a phase of U2 that I really appreciate because of how adventurous they got and how experimental they got versus what they were in the 80s. It's just something I really respect a lot when bands do that. Radiohead does that a lot. A lot of other big bands do that too. This album is a bit of a trip. It's unlike the last other records I've talked about. This one has a very cohesive beginning, middle, and end. It's different. It's weird. Numb is such a weird track, but I love it. I love the opening track, Zeropa. Stay is one of the best U2 songs. I think you could argue that Stay is a top 20 U2 song easily. And the rest of this album is just really nice. I don't know how else to say it. Some days are better than others. It's got some really cool instrumentation going on there. Same with Daddy's Gonna Pay for Your Crash Car. First Time is a beautiful U2 track. I highly recommend. Dirty Day, that's one of those just big rocker songs. They played it on the Experience and Innocence tour, which was cool. I didn't really expect that to happen. And then if you look up, they did the song The Wanderer with Johnny Cash. There's a really great performance of The Wanderer on YouTube if you Google it. It was from an awards show. I don't remember which show exactly, 2005-ish. Just a terrific U2 song. I don't have much else to say about this one. Zeropa's a vibe. That's what I'm going to say. It's a really cool album. I really like it a lot. So Zeropa comes in at number 5. Okay, number 4. Now we're getting into the heavy hitter U2 albums. When I looked at these top 4, I'm just like, man, how is it possible that a band's catalog is this good? It's crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put at number 4. I'm gonna put War. War is an absolutely epic rock album. It was really their coming out kind of party. It took what they did in Boy and October, their first 2 albums, and really just ramped up the tension and the intensity and I guess the message, right? Because there's a lot going on here in this album. And to release, Sunday Bloody Sunday is a top U2 song. I don't know where I would rank that song as far as my favorites, but it's up there. I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic U2 song, and it always will be. It just always will be. Same with New Year's Day. New Year's Day, I can confidently say, is like in my top 2 favorite U2 songs. But the thing about this album too is it's excellent front to back. Every song I think is really good. I'm not a huge fan of The Refugee. Red Light is okay. But I love every other song on this album. The Edge sings the song Seconds, which is super cool. They haven't brought that one out in a very, very, very long time. I don't think since this tour. I do believe they played Two Hearts Beat as One on the Innocence and Experience tour, if I'm not mistaken. Which is super cool. My favorite song on this album, I have to say, is Surrender. I really love that one. I was hoping that they would kind of bring that out at some point across their career on any tour, really, but they just never did. Which is understandable, I guess. They've got a huge catalog, but to release an album like this at age, I guess they were 23 when this album was released. It's so sophisticated. It's so sophisticated and it's so raw, and it's just a classic U2 record. You could argue this is even higher on, and it wouldn't surprise me if other people have this one higher on their lists. War comes in for me at number 4. Okay, so the next one is going to be number 3. Number 3 is going to be, for me, the Unforgettable Fire. I struggled with this one because I actually wanted to put it higher on the list, but I just couldn't. This album is like absurdly influential on my guitar playing and my songwriting. I love and this one came out after War. So to go from War to Unforgettable Fire is like a pretty big tonal shift. That's why this band is so good. They don't repeat themselves. At least not in this era. I don't know how much more of a classic song you can get than Pride in the Name of Love. I still listen to the album version of this song like on the regular. And when that guitar riff hits, it just like hits me in the feels. It's just so good. It's so good. But also, again, this is another one of their albums that is fantastic front to back. I think it's amazing. I wish they would play 2 of my favorite songs they don't play live anymore. Wire and Indian Summer Sky. I love both of those songs. They haven't played them since this tour, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how much more, again, like how much it's more of a cerebral album. It has a lot of intelligence to it. It has a lot of depth to it. It's got a lot of storytelling, It's kind of got a little bit of War, Pride in the Name of Love. Kind of has a bit of a War feel to it, but it's like a little bit more polished. These songs are a lot more polished, and there's a lot of textures, and there's a lot of ambience. And that's one thing that I really admire about this band is their ability to have texture and ambience, because when you go back and listen to some of these songs after many years, you're going to hear things that you didn't hear in previous listens. Maybe one of the most epic U2 songs is Bad, frequently hitting 8, 9, 10 minutes when they play that song live. I haven't heard that one in quite a while, since the Joshua Tree tour, the anniversary tour in 2017, which is not surprising. I mean, that's a very emotionally charged song, a difficult song to play. Yeah, I mean, Unforgettable Fire, it's interesting. Like, I love how this whole album, it's very guitar centric, but it's not, I mean, there's no distortion on the guitars here, like anywhere at all. I'm looking at this, like none. And I think that's why I love this band so much, is because there's so much restraint going on. This is a very them them thing to do. They're not stuck in any kind of like patterns, radio kind of style patterns, how to construct a song. It's like a painting, this song, this album. It's like a painting, a really beautiful painting. The Unforgettable Fire comes in at number 3. Okay, the last two, I really, just flip a coin. Just flip a coin on any given day. The last two albums are my favorite U2 album. It's hard to choose. And when I was choosing, where to rank the last two, I just thought of how do these albums make me feel? They both make me feel amazing. They both bring back wonderful memories. They both bring back, memories of childhood, memories of learning to play guitar by watching this band play. But, they're so close. They're so close that it's kind of, the difference is kind of negligible. But what's cool is they're such different albums. But in any case, for number two, I went with Achtung Baby. I'm absolutely obsessed with the Zoo TV tour. I'm obsessed with the Zoo TV tour because I never got to see it live. Because I think it's probably the best tour like ever conceived. I really think that to be true. This is an album that was literally like as a 10-year-old. Did this come out in 1990? 1990, yeah. No, 91, excuse me, 91. 91, as an 11-year-old listening to this album was literally mind-blowing. Like when I heard the riff for Even Better Than the Real Thing, I was like, what's that? Why does U2 sound like this? Why are they sounding so different? Where are these sounds coming from? What's happening here? Like, there's just so many things like that on this album that when you start to dig into it, there's so much depth. It's really dark. It's emotional. It's angry. There's literally 0 bad songs on this album. If I can't name a bad song. I mean, my least favorite song would be like Trying to Throw Your Arms Around the World. I don't really care for that song a lot, but I don't dislike it. But like everything else on this album is just a pure banger. Just a pure banger. There's no bad, and I got to hear this album front to back live a couple of years ago at the Sphere, which was just a wonderful experience. I had never heard Zoo Station live. I'd never heard Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses, So Cruel. I mean, so many of these songs I'd never got to hear live, and it's kind of like a rock opera, this album. I go back and I watch the Zoo TV tour very frequently just to see like how they interpret these songs live. All of them work amazingly well live. One is a top U2 song. I mean, on any day of the week, that's one of the best songs they've ever written. It's maybe the best song. I don't know about that. That's subjective. I love The Fly. The Fly needs to be on every tour. It's such a great song. I love the reimagined version of The Fly from the Elevation tour. It's a little bit different. It's heavier. It's really cool. I highly recommend you check that one out. But Achtung Baby is just one of those. It's such a jarring experience, when you go from Joshua Tree to Achtung Baby, because they're so different. It's like, that's the same band. It's like, that's a very risky thing for them to do because they're such a terrific band. It worked out really brilliantly for them because it started a new era of their music. They didn't repeat themselves. And again, like I said earlier, if you're just repeating yourself, trying to repeat the same success you had on a classic album, you're eventually going to wash yourself out and people are going to be uninterested because it's not interesting. If Radiohead kept doing Paranoid Android over and over and over and over, like nobody would be interested anymore after many years. If Metallica kept doing Black Album over and over and over and over, nobody would be interested. So this is one of those albums that like, it stands on its own as one of the best rock albums of all time. And again, I struggled with putting this one in 1 or 2. I just couldn't really decide. You could argue it's number 1. I do think it's iconic. I think the era is iconic for them. It's just nobody was on their level at this time of in 91. This is kind of before the grunge really took off. But this was just a amazing album, lyrically really dense, really great, and Achtung Baby comes in at number 2. Okay, so obviously number 1 is going to be the Joshua Tree. I don't know what to say about this album. It's iconic, it's cinematic, it's emotional, it is, what else is it? I don't know. This is one of those albums, like, no bad songs. I love every song on this album. I love all of it. It's again one of those things that, you know, the same way Achtung Baby blew my mind. When I first heard Where the Streets Have No Name in 1987, I would have been 7 years old. When you hear that intro come on, it's an experience, man. It's an experience. It just takes you to another place. From there, it's interesting. One of the most interesting things about this band is when you go from Boy to October to War to Unforgettable Fire to the Joshua Tree. There's like a distinct stepwise evolution of the band. And you can kind of hear the Unforgettable Fire to the Joshua Tree. You can hear that transition. Joshua Tree is more polished. It's bigger. It really goes for it, but it has like a more of a directness to it. I think that's why it just was so much better than Unforgettable Fire. Like you're starting your album off with Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and With or Without You, and then Bullet the Blue Sky. Like I don't know. I can't think of any stronger start to an album, really, at all. And from there, I don't want to say it gets better and better, but it stays that course. It's really, really great all the way through. I don't know. There's a nostalgic element at play here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this one. I mean, it's an iconic classic that will stand up forever. Like when people talk about the best albums ever released, the Joshua Tree will be in that conversation till the end of time, in my opinion. I don't know how, like they went to another level on this album as artists, as a band, and as a touring band. I mean, they obviously exploded in popularity globally and really started to play big stadiums and that sort of thing. Deservedly so. It's just one of those things that they just hit that nerve that is just always going to be there, and that made them the biggest superstars in the world for a very long time. I got to hear this album front to back on the Joshua Tree tour in 2017. Saw them twice on that tour. And hearing it in order, played front to back in order, is really cool. It just cements, like, yeah, this is an absolute stone cold classic. Where the Streets Have No Name, I think, that's got to be probably my favorite U2 song. They didn't play it at one of the shows that I saw them on the Experience and Innocence tour. I don't think they played it on that tour at all, actually. There is a very stark difference in a U2 show when they do not play that song. That song is it's so epic. It's so joyful, brings people together. There's really nothing like it. There's so many bands that have tried to rip this song off and this sound off that are just not as good. I'm sure you know them very well. And that's the reason this album is just gonna own that perch at number one for a very long time. So the Joshua Tree comes in at number one. Well, that was a long video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it through to the end of this video, like, good for you, man. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe somebody can stand to listen to me talk for 40 some odd minutes here. So I appreciate you, and throw me a like, and hope to see you in the next one. Chat soon.